your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before. So can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And welcome in. It is a Monday edition of The Running Point with Ron Potesta. I am not Ron Potesta, I can tell you that. Ron has the day off. Anthony Hartwig across from me. We're going to be kind of building this plane in the air, my friend, because Ron came in, all of a sudden didn't feel so hot, and we said, pointed right at the door.
Right.
Get the hell out of
Don't
here.
take any chances
Nope.
right now. So.
See you later. So RP will probably be on a 2-week hiatus just for protective and obviously to make sure everybody's safe. And Ron will be quarantined. And also give a chance for people to miss him a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody loves the Poe Bear, but it gives people a chance to maybe he
Get that
quarantines
hunger
himself.
for Ron Podesta. a little
Yeah,
bit, you know?
get that hunger going. So we just did an interview. We'll debut it tonight at 5 o'clock on ysnlive.com and on our social media platforms. Had a chance to talk to the Sebring head football coach, Matt Seidel. And man, what a story not only he has, but the tradition that he's bringing back to Sebring. 2 wins last year. He's been in the program for 14 years. Second year this year as a head coach. A lot of stuff in the interview talking about, like, you know, what ifs for this football season. And, you know, we hate to beat a dead horse around here, Ant, but we're kind of up in limbo here, right? You look at it and you feel good one day and then you feel bad. It's like going on a really, like, mediocre date where you're like, man, there were some things that really went well with that date and some things that did not. Like, she
did not look like her picture on Tinder. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that much.
that's it. Like, we ate spaghetti, and I think she got more of it on her dress than she did in her mouth. You know, so it's one of those things where, like, you kind of do this, but for football, there's a lot of people that, you know, in talking to, I was at a graduation party this weekend for my niece, and there's a lot of people that are very skeptical across the state border in Pennsylvania, where the PIAA is like pushing their chips in and they're saying we're all in on this, where the OHSAA is just kind of like guarding their food in prison, like nobody look at what we're doing. There's nothing to see here, and kind of hoping everybody looks over it and says, you know, when are we playing? You know, that question has not officially come out, but the answer is even more hidden. Where are we playing or not? Everybody's waiting to make a move. It's crazy.
Like the OHSA just like doesn't want any responsibility for anything, and then that's why they're doing all this. You know, we'll sit and wait to see what the governor says, because they just don't want the responsibility. But then they're going to want all the praise if we have football.
And yeah, it's
Right.
one of those situations where they're going to want, you know, obviously, naturally, they're going to want to play tournament football. They're going to want that OHSA tournament at the end because that's their revenue builder. But how many football games? Because the natural first question is, are we playing? Second question is always going to be, how many? Third question is going to be, how many does it take to qualify teams for a playoff situation to where you can make it official, right? Like, how many games is not enough? For me, that's 4, right?
Yeah.
If you have 4 games, you scrap the playoffs. I don't care where it is.
I imagine if it's not 10, they're going to have to adjust the algorithm for the computer rankings a little bit, because it's going to take away some games for these smaller schools that would give them computer points that they're not going to have anymore. So they're going to have to change the algorithm a little bit if they cut 10 to 8 or 7 or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I'm really interested because, you know, Corona has thrown a wrench in a lot of people's plans. You know, and you see those memes on the internet now where it's like you have the person and then Corona. You know,
Right.
and you knew it's going to end up bad. But you know, what was the one I saw the other day? It was like a regular person and a monster. And it was, or a ride at Kennywood. Like, you're excited for a ride at Kennywood, and then it breaks halfway through, and you're like, what the hell? And then you have the ones now that are like, okay, this is what's happened so far in the year, and what do we have left? We got 4 or 5 months to where, what are we going to expect now? We had the murder hornets that were supposed to make an appearance and didn't. I can only imagine what August is going to bring us. But all I need to know is if we have football, there's a little bit of excitement. There's a little bit of normalcy back. So that'll be interesting.
Well, we were talking to Coach outside the office, and the OHSA, he said it. They're not thinking about the small schools and the 1,000-people crowd. They're thinking, how are we going to do the Massillon 20,000 people in a football game crowd? They're not really concerned with the smaller schools that get 1,000 people per game.
No, because typically you look at it, and some of these small schools can go 50%,
Right.
and still end up being just okay. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where, you know, they can look at algorithms. They can look at stand. Like, you look at what is it, Paul Brown Stadium where Massillon plays. That place is filled all the time. There's no way you can dive away from the coronavirus or COVID-19 if you have that many people in a stadium. However, if you have some of these small schools around here and you cut to 50%, you're fine. Or even don't cut 50%, you can be fine. They can still space themselves out between the home and away visitors and along the fence, that you can be spaced out enough where you can have a capacity crowd on hand. So you're right, and I think Coach is right too when he says that, you know, OHSAA has to think big scale first, because the little ones will follow suit. But reality is you know, you can sell out. I mean, you can still almost fill the stands in some of these places and be, you know, sell as many tickets as you want to, and you're fine.
Yeah, there are some places where you can sell out, but then only half those people are in the stands anyway, because the rest are watching on a hill or on the sidelines or
And
something like that.
that's the crazy thing about this is it's 50% capacity. So if your place sells 3,000, it fills, and that's capacity. 50% is naturally 1,500. So you have 1,500 tickets to divvy out, however you want to, you know, divvy them out, however you want to spread them out. But when it comes down to it, it's one of those, you know, okay, 1,500 is still a lot of people. You know, it's still a situation where you go, well, our stands look pretty full. So interestingly enough, I'm glad I don't have to make the decision one way or the other. You know what I mean? We've got to make a lot of decisions internally at YSN, but I'm happy that this umpire's decision is, you know, how, first off, are we going to have the sports? Secondly, how they're going to be divvied out. Are there going to be sports that are going to not play? And if you look at it, football's got to be the arrow pointing right at it. You know what I mean? For better, for worse. The ultimate contact sport, if you will. But then, like, cross country. Cross country is taken. I think I've seen more fans in cross country in the last 2 weeks since they said cross country is a contact sport than I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
You know, like, even we were walking the girls around the park this morning. The cross country team was practicing. And Sarah's like, well, they've been, you know, they're good to go. I said, no, they're not. They're not approved because of the pack-like mentality, as Tim Street came on this program and said, that's kind of, you know, you want to separate them. Now, you can change the game a little bit, right? And you can say you have to staggered starts and things of that nature, but then are you stacking the deck for whoever starts first?
Right, and I think that's the thing people don't. Cross country is a, you know, pack running, and this disease is so respiratory, and when you're running all together, everyone's breathing heavy. You got a better chance of aerosolizing that virus. So it's a little bit more complicated. I know you don't think of cross country as a contact sport because you're not touching each other in the same sense, but it's definitely dangerous, and I think that's why they would just say kind of made it a contact sport.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, I am not Ron Potesta. I think I'm a little better looking, but I'll leave that out to the masses. Ron got a little sick, and he's going to take some time off here from running points. And he didn't look good when he left. He looked like he was sick. So he bolted out the door, and I said, you know what, the show must go on. So Anthony and I will figure it out. Literally, that was 10 minutes before the show went on. So I just kind of looked at you and said, let's go, Chico. So
Let's fly this bird and
build it into the air. You know, we got to be mechanics here. So we'll make sure that you get your sports. This will be an abbreviated program. We will move forward the rest of the week with full 3-hour editions of Running Point with Ron Potesta and Anthony Hartwig. But today, there's just no way.
Yeah.
No way. And then, of course, today at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock is the Power Hour, to which we also are on. So we got our work cut out for us, my friend, and just not prepared. You know what I mean? I've got to put all that stuff together as well. So I apologize if you're tuning in at the 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock hour, but you're probably not going to get Running Point. Another situation is we might have a little bit of reruns the rest of the week for Running Point during the week. But we want to hear from you. We got to talk about baseball, and we're going to take a quick break here, but baseball's back. We saw Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Your Royals were in action as well. Back-to-back home runs to end their inner squad. So that was pretty sweet. We'll talk about baseball, how excited you are for it to be back, some of the interesting social cues, I guess you can say, that baseball is leading the charge on. We'll talk about all that and a little bit more. We come back on Running Point on YSN.
21
Good evening,
News.
and thank you for joining us.
Let's get right to our top
More
story
experienced reporters
A new Wilmington
At
restaurant.
GM Lordstown,
telling more local stories
We'll look at
baby
efforts
boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken.
around our
Good
valley.
Community in
afternoon.
Niles,
We are
one
here in
Triangle Valley
Youngstown, right
business.
Because you expect
important for everyone.
No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County
before
Court.
they become life-threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
And welcome back to Running Point. DJ Oakley here across the table from me, Mr. Anthony Hartwig. And again, we apologize if you're tuning in to see Mr. Potesta. He will not be here today. A little under the weather. Are you under the weather? You all right?
Nah, I'm always good.
My dude. Speaking of dudes, guess what? Our dudes of summer are back. We are excited. Baseball is back. How long can we hold on to it? Let's not go down that road quite yet. Let's just enjoy what we have. Baseball, we have Cleveland and Pittsburgh taking on each other. What did that start? Saturday night.
Did you watch that?
I didn't. I was at that grad party.
Okay.
So I was excited to watch it. I've got all the
thought you might
access
have a
right
DVR,
here.
and I
You
thought
know.
yeah.
I see. I'm not. I feel like I'm up on technology, but I'm also like that old school, like forgetful because there's so much going on. Like in the weekends, my wife tries to plan as much family activity as she can because she knows what we do during the week. So like she just kind of clumped it in there, and before we went, I was like, man, I'm gonna tune in and just watch it on my phone at this grad party, and then I kind of gave her the look, and then I got that look back. Right, like you give her the look, like, hey, I'm gonna you're fiddling with your phone, you're sitting here, you're like, oh, okay, oh the ending, okay, I'm out. Right. I'm gonna slowly put down my phone to where I didn't even think about putting on a Pirate game at a graduation party.
Playing one more tonight, though, right?
Yeah, they played 3. What's your take? I know you watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, I did. And the Royals are playing the Astros this week.
get
And then the
plunked?
Cardinals. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if they're going to plunk someone in an inter squad scrimmage, but it's interesting, like you said before, off the air, what the social cues that are coming out with the arms together and some of the things that baseball players are kind of bringing out that might set the tone for the season.
I think if it were all about putting the arms around each other and the brotherhood aspect of it, I could get behind that. I know they when you talk about the social justice and kneeling for the national anthem, it's not about the flag, but there was a better way to do it. And I know they took a cue from someone that formerly served the country, and I get it, but it's a different look when there's a unity perspective when you wrap your arm around somebody, and that shows like you're in it with them. Kneeling does nothing but draw attention to you, and that's. I know that's part of it, but listen, you can do two things at once. We are a multitask, purposeful nation here in America. There's so many people that do so many things, so many different ways. I think there's an opportunity to buy into this thing.
Right.
And we always give baseball a black eye for their marketing, but hats off to them for doing this, for figuring this out. This was, I think, the best move that I've seen so far. Like, you can stand up for something, and you can also stand up for America. Right. Like you still cross your heart.
That's the thing. You can do both. I mean, people don't understand that you can, support the fight for justice and love America at the same time.
Yep.
And it's really the fight for justice is the love for America because you want America to be better.
That's it.
There's nothing more patriotic than wanting the country to get better. I mean,
that's
it's in the Declaration.
Oh yeah.
If you want something to get better, you have the right to fight for that. I mean, that's what the forefathers wanted. So,
and that's what we do as Americans every day. If you want something different, go change it. Go amend it.
Right.
Be better. Like, I never wake up. I know you never wake up every day saying, "Hey, I want to be the same as I was yesterday." No, you want to be better, and that's kind of where we're at in society. We want to get better, and you're going to have people on both sides, especially when you involve politics. You're going to have people on both sides of the coin, and you're going to get that. But what baseball did was not really rocket science, I think. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to dumb it down, but they did something that nobody else really thought of. And they said, let's do it this way instead. Right. And I don't know if it was the Indians. I don't know if it was who thought of it, but it was brilliant because it still drew attention. It still got people, saying, wow, that's different. That's cool. Like, people like me, when I see the kneeling, I just look the other way because I'm not looking for that. When I watch sports, I want to watch sports. You know what I mean?
Baseball's always been the kind of sport that kind of stands out as you can get behind the right. What Poppy did after the Boston. Baseball's always been that sport that kind of stood out after, trying things in society, 9/11. So it's nice to see baseball take that step again. We kind of knocked them because they could have come back earlier and been that running force, but at least they're still being the sport that kind of looks like they're taking the best step of the other sports as far as this fight for social justice.
Baseball, and I hear people knocking it all the time, baseball is the fabric. We talk about it being America's pastime. Sometimes you take things for granted, right? When it becomes part of the fabric of who you are and what you do, and it shows up every day on time, we take that for granted. I think that's what we're doing at baseball right now. I really do. Because if baseball went away, I don't care if you're a purist. I don't care if you're a first-time fan. The best thing about baseball is it is Americana. It is woven into the red, white, and blue fabric of our flag. So when you think of that flag, you think of America. Like, I watched 20 minutes of Babe Ruth this weekend because they found new footage. And I thought to myself, wow, like, to be alive during those days where it was the game. And then you fast forward, and it's still the same game. The basics are still the same. The opportunities are still the same. The players are bigger, faster, stronger, but they are in every sport. And it's a little bit more mainstream because we've made it mainstream. Everybody, when I was in 4th grade, sports in general wasn't something that it was around-the-clock coverage. It was something that you saw at 6, 11, and if you were lucky, you got to see a game or two on the air, over the air. Now, like, we have our TVs on out there, and we can watch sports whenever we want. Right now, it's probably not great. It's probably mostly replays, but it's sports nonetheless. You know, ESPN changed things. CNN actually changed things when they came out with CNN Sports Illustrated.
There was, well, CNN changed the news game too because it was the first cable news network.
Yep.
I mean, they went and changed the game just like ESPN did. Network on cable completely dedicated to sports, and when you see that, and we're changing the game here at YSN. You know, we're going to be the only network in the country that's dedicated completely to amateur sports.
Yep.
Because I know you've done your research, and there's no one else doing it in the whole nation.
Not
the state.
broadcasting it
Yeah.
and not promoting it like we do with talk shows and things. So and that's, you know, it's funny. Like we always get people with ideas that, hey, you should do this, you should, and we're all in. Like I love idea guys. You know, I love the ideas, and I love being able to say that this came from YS Nation. Right. This came from, but it's one of those things where as big as we get, as much as we scale, we're always going to keep it one-on-one. You know, the Letonias of the world, the small schools, Sebring, having that conversation with Matt Seidel. We will always make it so it is a one-on-one aspect, so that way your school, your communities are always covered. And I think that when businesses get big, they forget where they started. And I never want to be a part of that. I want to make sure that we're always doing the 5, 10, 15, 30-minute interviews to where people can learn more about their team, learn more about their coach, learn more about their players. The 30-minute interview with Matt Seidel will air tonight at 5. Sebring's going to learn a lot about their CEO of their football team, you know, and that to me is cool because it's something you just can't do in 30 seconds.
No.
You know, you get a snippet. Sometimes you don't even get as much of a bite. You get, what's the Snickers bar, the bite size? You know, you get that, the fun size. You get a fun size bite of who that person is. This is chips are all in. You know, you get to hear how coach and our coaches and players. We did one with Dom Palali, one of the best hitters in all of America, plays for the Astro Falcons. You'll have that today. We're just trying to provide that service to as many people as we possibly can to show how talented our area is. I mean, we have 56 schools on the wall. And when push comes to shove, about, 6 weeks from now, when football starts, hopefully, fingers crossed, you're going to see upwards of 50 games on that Friday. You know, it's crazy. Are we getting anybody on social media?
People are tuning in, but no questions yet.
Love it. We're taking your questions. We got a 1-hour edition, which is down to about 38 minutes of the Power Hour today. We're taking questions, but back to baseball. Yeah, like were you impressed with the cleanliness, the tidiness of the game, with guys that haven't really played necessarily as long as they usually do at this point in the season?
Yeah, and I was impressed with the hitting. I mean, it didn't take the guys any amount of time to kind of gear these timing up of the pitch. I thought coming in, the pitchers were going to have a huge advantage, especially the first 2 weeks, because it takes time to time everything up. But watching these interleague squad scrimmages, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe we're just going to have, mid-season type baseball when we start the season. Which, think about that. Think about starting the season and not having to deal with the April and May slow start of baseball, where they're in mid-season form right at the jump. That's kind of exciting.
But I think the fans are going to be startled too, because you're going in head first, right? You sit there and you go, okay, you can kind of have a build-up. You know what I mean? With runners at second and third and 2 outs, you're almost expecting the pitcher to have the advantage. What's Vegas going to do? When you look at this, I mean, there's a lot of money to be made in sports betting, and the trend that I heard this morning is Vegas is betting the over a lot. Like they're lifting a lot of this because offense is shocking to them right now. So if offense is favored, naturally the numbers are going to go up. I figured the numbers would be down. I thought we would see a lot of 1-0, 2-1 games, and I think it's going to be the opposite. I think it's going to be 10-9 because I hate to even say this or suggest this, but offense sells.
That's why the home run has become king in baseball, because it's what sells the game the best. There's nothing like a home run.
Baseball needs fans. Baseball needs to put a little Band-Aid on the last 3 months or so. Right. And I think that if they come out of the gates with 10-9, 8-7, even, heaven forbid, 12-4 games, you still get offense. Like, people are going to be less to complain, because I don't think a whole lot of people go, well, I wish there was better pitching. The purists will. The fans, and that's one of the arguments that Ron and I always have, is the purists, the 57-year-olds and up, they love seeing 1-0 games. I love seeing 10-9 games, 11-10 games, walk-offs. Like, to me, walk-offs are the most exciting thing in baseball. And if you have more walk-offs, especially with offense being there, you are going to get more fans because the excitement is there. The reason that football is so exciting is because you can score a 99-yard touchdown and change the game like that. Baseball, you can only score 4 runs at a time. You know what I mean? 7 points, or I guess 6 points for a touchdown, and depending on what you do with the extra, it can change the complexity of a game real fast. You know, it makes the other side tighten up a little bit more than, okay, a manager or a coach goes, we're up by 7. We can load the bases, give up a granny, and we're still good. So it's one of those situations where, like, if a game's tight and it's a big game, so if it's a 7-4 game, I think there's some excitement there, you know, and it's 7-6 going into the last inning. We've seen it at Class B this season where there's been games that are complete blowouts that turn around so fast because, number one, because of the 2-hour time limit. You try to have a different strategy instead of just going out and winning the game. Like, trust in your efforts, trust in your guys, go out and win the ball game. But now you're trying to milk the clock a little bit, and the other team knows that. So all of a sudden, hitting is the most contagious thing in the world, even more so than Corona. And the hit parade starts, and all of a sudden you got a new ball game going into the 7th inning.
And it's wonderful. You talked about Class B, the development of the game, and there's the 3 weeks that they've had it, how different, how better that it's gotten. And we talked about it with Steve Leslie last week. The development of talent, even on the lower edge of the standings, those teams, they've gotten so much better from week 1 to week 4 now. And it's great to see them be able to start and develop in such a small amount of time.
Well, and not only that, but you look at it and the opportunity knocks for some of these guys to be seen. So when you sit there and you look at how they are from 1 month ago to now as we head into the playoffs, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting. So we got a caller coming in. Hang on 1 second, caller. Guess not. So I apologize if you were just calling in. I just missed that. So, back to the topic. You know, some of these players are completely different from a month ago when they stepped in the box for the first time, or they stepped to the mound for the first time. Velocity, naturally, when the mercury goes up, velocity goes up as well. Yes. The ball's a little heavier. It goes a little further. I think we saw, and I could be wrong, but I think we saw our first home run last night by Cam Hollaball from Warren JFK hit one for Roth, and from everything I hear, it was a no-doubter. And that kid is so talented in everything he does.
Everything. He's one of those kids that he's just a pure athlete. It doesn't matter what sport he's playing. He excels at it, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and for him to go yah-yah last night, you know, in a season where we haven't had much of that is fantastic.
How about A to Z and the 14U? Have they found a switch? And they've won, 7 in a row? 8 in a row?
Rocky, you talk to Rocky Natoli, and he is excited because the way it started, it
slow.
Painfully slow.
Right.
You know, and he'll tell you the same thing. But listen, they figured it out. And they figured it out in a big way. They got some big wins. And not only were they fringing on the playoffs, but now I believe they're in. I believe they're locked in.
They're dangerous.
Yeah, and they are. They've got some good pitching. They've got good hitting. But above all else, right now they got speed, and speed kills.
Called the Athletics for a reason, and when they have a very athletic roster.
They sure do, and we'll be excited to kind of preview that in the Power Hour. We will be able to unveil the playoff seedings and opportunity here on. Well, it'll be on YSN, but it'll be a different show. It's called the YSN Power Hour from 3 to 4, and we'll have it for you here on your sports network. We have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Champ Summers calling in, reporting for duty.
How we doing, Champ?
Well, I just checked the minute-by-minute ratings, and it's unbelievable. You two guys, outstanding.
Who's that?
Really high, man.
Potesta who, right?
Yeah, really. But just kidding, Ronnie. But you know, I watched a lot of baseball this weekend, and the thing that stood out to me, because I had the on my mind is this game is to play, and keeping, you know, socially distanced and you have some people wearing masks, obviously umpires. But I think in terms of playing the game, I think it can be done. I think that, and then I turned over to the NFL Network and I was watching some past football games, Super Bowls, playoffs they show constantly, and I had totally the opposite situation with that. Looking, I said, boy, how are they going to play football? I think they're two different sports. Obviously, baseball is unique because other team sports you got to guard one-on-one, and if you're not close to the guy, you can get burned. In hockey and basketball and football, baseball, it's a totally different game. When you have the ball, you're on defense. It's like golf. I think it can happen. But then football, it's like, I don't know how they're going to do it. It's impossible to keep away from your opponent, social distancing, because that's your job, is to guard somebody or rush somebody.
Yeah, I'm with you, champ. Let's say, hypothetically, I gave you $100 bill. How much of that $100 are you putting on playing football this fall? $5.
Yeah.
I mean, I want it. I think we all want it, but I think that you look at the situation, and like you said, it's a different sport. It's the ultimate contact sport, minus MMA or wrestling or anything like that. Football is the ultimate contact sport. So I think there's a lot of people that feel like if we get to football and we're okay, then everything else should be absolutely 100% good. Are you in that same camp?
Yes, I think that when I was watching the games on this weekend, they said it's the first time of the four major professional that we had a game going on since March 15th, which I thought, wow, that's bizarre. But I think that baseball gets going out. We haven't even talked about basketball and hockey. But I think that the situation with football, though, there's so many other factors, especially with college football, because you've got universities, kids going to class. You've got a much bigger roster. You've got kids going back and forth, to home. The situation with pro football, obviously, they have a huge TV contract, and it's amazing that if they do play the pro football season without fans, they're really still going to be okay money-wise, I think, because of the giant TV contracts that they have. But high school, I'm not sure. But I think that, back to your point, I think that college football, to me, right now, is really starting to look into playing in the spring. Maybe late February, something like that, because we don't know anything. And are we going to know more in September than we know now? I'm not sure about that. It might be better, could be worse. But I think spring football for college is starting to become a realistic goal, I think, that what these universities are looking at.
And I think it's going to be interesting because we've said kind of the entire time, champ, internally here, that if they change the way that they play sports, if they change the season, if they go from fall to spring, you'd think that high school would have to follow. But the problem I see is professional football, because no matter which way you rock the cradle, you have to have everybody on the same page. Like, high school was talking about spring sports for football. The problem is going to be that your seniors, and I firmly believe this, your seniors that are going on to play college football, college baseball, college anything, are going to have a tough time playing, because I have a hard time believing that a D1 coach is going to say, yeah, that's a good idea, because you're going to get, let's say you get to the state championship, you've got a week before you report to college football if you're a senior. And the injury then, the risk goes through the roof. So then the college and parents at home start weighing risk-reward. And they say, okay, I've got a D1 scholarship to go play football. What else do I have to prove? Why do I need to play? I think that the college coach would much rather weigh on the side of caution and make sure they get that blue-chip player or a D1 player to play for them, as opposed to, let's say, a knee injury in week 12, and then all of a sudden you're out for an entire year and a half if college doesn't flip the script. But if you're saying college is starting to look at flipping to spring, then the conversation begins that I think you'll see high school follow that really quickly, actually.
Yeah, we talked about how contagious this virus is, but I tell you another thing that will be contagious, something called opting out. I think you're going to see more and more players professionally, maybe in college, where they're going to start opting out and deciding not to play. And remember, a lot of them skip the bowl games because of injuries. Well, you think they're going to be really anxious to play any of these bowl games. I think football right now is a big, huge mystery to me. I have no idea where they're going to go with this. And it's so, as we know, it consumes our weekends on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. and on Thursday nights. But looking on the bright side, if they do play college football, starting in February and March, that'll make, usually February is one of the worst sports month of the year, first of all. That's why Valentine's Day is right smack in the middle, because there is no sports, basically. So I think it would be I don't think the women would appreciate it, but it would be kind of neat to be watching college football in the month of February and March.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of guys in trouble because they'd have one eye on their date and the other eye on the football screen behind them at the restaurant. So I think that, it's interesting, and I'll take you back about 12 years. I was having a dinner with then my fiance and her family, and her father just made the statement out of the blue and said, I don't feel like there's going to be NFL in 20 years. And I poo-pooed that idea. As soon as it came out of his mouth, I said, there is no more popular sport than the NFL right now, especially in football, the way things are going. That was when the beginning of the head injuries, and all that stuff was happening. And now I sit here 12 years later, and every time I see him, I feel like I say, how did you know? And he said, with the head injuries, you don't mess with the head. And you don't mess with things will spike and will go down. And I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about an interest. So when you look at this, parents ultimately control what their kids are allowed to do at such a young age. And we're seeing the numbers in football decrease year after year, which scares me because they're allowing their kids to play soccer. They're allowing their baseball numbers in youth have gone up because parents feel it's a non-contact sport. So for me, as a baseball fan, I'm excited, but I feel like they're taking away from one pot to put in the other. Do you feel that football can survive the next 10 years if this is the way it's headed, Champ?
Not improve safety, and I think you're exactly right. High school participation in football is going down every year. But you know what? But look at the positive side here, because one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of African Americans now in Major League Baseball is simply because when they leave high school and go to college, the college baseball scholarships are not near as good as football and basketball. I mean, literally, you got like a roster, 25 guys, 12 guys get maybe full scholarships? They're not as good. And when you're talking to a family maybe in the inner city, they're thinking, you know what, I think I'd rather play football or basketball and play baseball. And then add to the fact that sometimes you spend 4, 5, 6 years in the minor leagues after that. I think that's one of the issues they're trying to work out with that. But it may benefit baseball. I hope it does, because I think that we need to get baseball back to what it was in the 60s and 70s. And I just think that the lack of the African Americans in baseball bothers me, because we're just not seeing all the great athletes. They're moving to other sports. But football could ultimately be hurt. And I do think that the injuries, and parents see it too much. But high school football, as you know, every year gets less and less in terms of participation.
Yeah, it's interesting because the football kind of thins out the herd. And if it's football practice over baseball practice, I think there's a lot that don't have a problem with that. And I think baseball coaches and managers are in a bad situation, because if you make them pick, you know what they're going to choose. So if you have a dual sport athlete and they say, hey, I can't come to the game because I got football practice at 4, you've got to accept it. And baseball is, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. I'm anxious to get your reaction. Do you feel baseball as a sport is kind of like that, how do I put this correctly? The sport we take the most advantage of because it's always there. If all things considered, you walk away from it, it's the girlfriend that always is home waiting for you to come home. Baseball, I think, is one of those things, Champ, where if we lose football, it's going to gain steam, but it's not ever going to go away. Ron is under the impression that baseball is going to disappear. I don't think baseball will ever go away. It's had its ups and downs, and I think it's woven into the fabric of the American flag.
Yeah, I think Ron's point, and I agree with him, though, with minor league baseball, the elimination of minor league baseball little by little, chipping away at it, is going to really hurt Major League Baseball, because baseball is a sport that you've got to, there's pitchers literally that have been in the minor leagues 3-4 years. Even some of these great pitchers the Tigers have, they're still working on their 3rd and 4th pitches, perfecting them so they can play in the major leagues. But I think that what I love about baseball compared to football, when your football team loses on Sunday, you got to wait a whole week. Baseball, you lose, you get up the next morning, it's like, oh, I'm over it because we're playing tonight. That's what I love about it. It's every day it plays. And it's constantly. It's there. It's always there. And even though people say the season's too long, I don't think it's too long, because I'm sad. Even the Tigers have been so bad, I'm sad when the season ends. It's every day. It's almost like having a dog at your side all the time. You can depend on it. It's going to be on tonight every day. That's what I love about the game of baseball.
I'm with you. I feel like we're doing the old James Earl Jones quote in Field of Dreams.
Yes.
I mean, it's always going to be there, Ray. It's baseball. Champ, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the sentiments of our rating spike because Ronnie's not in the captain's chair today.
Well, I hope he doesn't get his resume together.
No, I think he just came in. He just looked sick, and I said, "Ronnie, go home." He's like, "You sure?" I said, "Yes, get the hell out of here." Like we don't want to take any chances. So he might be away for a little bit just in precaution. You know, we don't hear anything, and even if we did, we probably wouldn't say. We'd leave that up to him. But you know, he needs a vacation anyway. Let's be honest. He's working hard through the last 3 months when we had no sports. So give him a little bit of a vacay, and he can go enjoy the Latonia Bears.
I don't think he likes Toronto playing in Buffalo. I think it takes away from his Bills a little bit.
I'm interested to hear his take on that. I saw that this weekend as well, and I was going to ask him that today. And you know, the Buffalo Blue Jays, I just don't think it sounds right.
Well, at least it's got 2 B's in it.
It sure does. Champ, thank you
thanks,
for
guys.
calling in. Take care, brother. That's Champ Summer. I mean, he had some great points, and when you look at it, I mean, Ron's got a great following, a great group of people that very loyal, and that's why we love him, among many, many other reasons. But Champ always brings the heat. You know what I mean? He's always putting down the one for the fastball. He's never trying to throw you the curve. He's just giving you what's on his mind, and that's what we love about our callers, our YS Nation, is they shoot it to you straight. So, you know, Champ feels that, you know, you talked about the situation baseball is in. It is in dire straits, but I just don't think it ever just goes.
I don't think the sport will ever go away. No. I wouldn't be shocked if the MLB as a organization or as a league kind of morphed into something new or went away as that.
What do you think it could be?
They're in trouble. I mean, I don't know. There'd still be professional baseball. It just wouldn't be the MLB as we know it.
See, I think MLB is in a much better condition than some of the other major sports because the owners have been positive for the last 17 years. I mean, you look at that and you go, huh, something's happening.
And that's weird, too, because baseball has the highest paid players of any other sport, and the owners are still coming out pretty.
It
says something.
I really, and again, this goes against all my beliefs as a capitalist, as a person who, you know, feels like everybody deserves to go out and get what they're worth. I think there needs, if baseball would just put a salary cap on itself, the competitive nature of baseball would go through the roof. You wouldn't have to change. You could have 162 games. Now you would have more contract disputes. You'd have more of this because where do you cut? But I like Ron's idea of the salary floor as well. But knowing that, you know, there's opportunity that you may not, like when they talk about minor league baseball thinning out a little bit, Champ's against it. I kind of like the opportunity because the cream rises to the top. If you're not supposed, if you're a fringe player, you're not necessarily there anymore. If you're there just collecting a paycheck, if you're there, you know, like these guys that are batting 110, 180, they're not on your team anymore. They're not in your organization anymore, and it allows them, the programs, the organizations, to do a lot more moving inside because they know, okay, this guy can hack it. This guy can hack it. We got to give this guy a chance because, but there probably wouldn't be like The Rookie. You know, you look at Disney films, you wouldn't have those stories of from nobody to somebody. I'm sure few and far between you would, but you know that everybody in your organization either hacks it, cut it, or they can't.
And Champ brought up a good point. You wouldn't have those people picking other sports because they know they have to spend 4 or 5 years in minor league baseball before they even have a sniff at MLB. If you say there are three leagues of minor league, is A, AA, AAA, instead of 6, then there's a better chance that you go and you either make it or you don't, and then you just know.
I'm thinking off the top of my head, and I know it's not the best example. Can you think of anybody that's chosen baseball, other than Tim Tebow, over football? Because usually it's the other way around.
I think Bo Jackson would have if he didn't get hurt.
You think?
I think it was trending that way. I think he would have, because I think he was hurt by football initially because he wasn't going to play football because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did that. You know, you can come down and look at us, and then they didn't tell him that doing that would, you know, screw up his college senior year of baseball. And he was hurt by football, and he eventually came back to it. But I think his passion was for baseball, and if he didn't rip his hip labrum in football, he probably would have had a long baseball career.
But you look at the other side of the coin. Deion Sanders had the opportunity, and he chose football.
Patrick Mahomes was drafted by the Tigers.
Yep. Russell Wilson as well.
Russell
correct?
Wilson, yeah.
You look at all these guys that I feel, and I could be way off on this, I feel like they can almost have their cake and eat it too. They feel they're that good of athletes that they can go to football and then come back to baseball if they want to. And we've seen that tried to be done. Tim Tebow's still working through. I never heard of Tim Tebow as a baseball player before he actually made the jump. You know, and that
That's why
scared
people
me.
kind of laughed at him initially, and then they saw him hit a couple bombs, and they were like, "Oh,
Yeah, Dinger City population Tebow.
this
And
kid can play."
He's just an athlete, you
Right.
know, and he's a lefty. So naturally, when you're a lefty, you're probably more attracted to baseball because everything looks better, and for some reason. And I want to punch Steve Leslie every time because he is a lefty. It just looks better, and it's done better. And like I wish that I was a lefty some days, and then some days I'm like, you know what, righties are better. Straight up, we can play every position, whereas lefties can't. I guess technically they could, but it'd be kind of stupid to have a left-handed catcher, in my opinion, because the only thing you're able to do is throw down to first base. You know, if all things are equal, the reason you have right-handed catchers is because it's an easy toss to third and the same toss to second. So I love being a righty because of that situation, but man, when a lefty swings, it's so pretty.
You ever stop and think like how weird it is as humans that we have one hand that we can't do much with, and then we have another hand that we can do why can't it's just weird.
Yeah, but I'm prominent. Well, I think it comes down to the side of your brain, right?
It's just it's strange.
You have people that are, I don't even know if this is correct. If they're left side brain, they're creative and things, and right side brain.
Most people that are good at writing in English and art aren't that great at the math.
I don't even no. You can give me a math test right now and I'm failing it straight up and down, like guaranteed as sure as the sun comes up.
But I'm sure you write good essays.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're looking at it. This is my essay right here. But like, I wish that I was able to be a switch hitter. You know, I wish I was able to have that. And I think there's a lot of people that do. And I think these days it's a lost art. You know, being able to be a switch hitter in baseball is an absolute lost art.
Britton Taylor, chiming in and saying, "What up, guys?"
Hey, Britt, congratulations on a great year with the Prospects, man. Proud of you. You really did a great job with that organization. And hopefully, I think Prospects, when you look at Class B, the Prospects are going to be – Prospects and Whiting are the teams I think opened up the most eyes this year.
They almost got the Falcons again last time. I mean, it was close. Falcons were up 5-0, and then Prospects made it 5-4. No, they were up 4-0. They tied it up at 4, and then unfortunately for them, the Falcons answered with one run and won at 5-4.
The Astros seemingly always have the answer, right? They're always prepped, but I think if you're polling and it's an anonymous poll around the league, the Prospects are the team you probably didn't want to play if they got into the playoffs because they are sneaky good. They have a chip on their shoulder, and it's apparent, and I love it. And I think that when you look at that, they create matchup problems because they believe in their own talent. They've showed that they're not afraid to walk into the batter's box with the Astros. They're not afraid to walk in with Creekside and throw haymakers. And I think that is what makes a really cool team. When you look at it, Britt Taylor's the leader of that organization, and it kind of funnels down off of him. So kudos to Britt on a great season for the 18Us, the 16s and the 14s as well. I mean, the Prospects organization as a whole is on the rise.
They have that kind of swagger to them
where
they walk into the field and they just feel like they're going to win the game no matter what.
They do.
Some people call it arrogance, but in sports it's just swagger. It's confidence in yourself and betting on yourself, and they do that every night.
And I think it's funny when you have some of these teams, you talk about Whiting, Nightline's another one of those teams, Prospects. When you look at and you're taking batting practice, it's not as casual as you typically have. There's a little bit of looking over your shoulder and seeing it's a different sound coming off those bats. It's a different feel. There's always that one team when you are the team that kind of gives you that stir in the pit of your stomach that goes, oh man, we could be in for it tonight. And the Prospects got one. They got one from the Astros early, and then that gave them a little bit of propulsion to their next level. So, all in all, I think when you look at what Britt and the Prospects did this year, I think it's a successful year, and I think you can hang your hat on that one victory alone and say we can hang with the best.
Sean Jordan, our new photographer, saying that the prospects have been fun to watch and shoot this year. So, and I think some of his best shots have actually come from the prospects because they have those slick uniforms.
Oh, listen, there's so many nice uniforms in Class B right now. Like I love the Astros white unis with the stripe across. The prospect unis, I gotta say, are some of the best. The black ones with the white, with the stripe prospects, with the pirate on the sleeve.
Yes.
Like so
And they
good.
seem like they have like a lot of different ones too. Like
They do.
They're putting out the white with the prospects and then they have the reds and the old White Sox kind of stripe down
Yep.
the middle.
Yeah, they have the old school hats too, white hats with red
P.
lining, and they got the P in the middle. But I'll tell you this, Jimmy Putko and Ballistic with those powder blues.
Yeah, and the red. I didn't at first. It took me a while to get used to the powder blue pants and the red tops.
But no, they have all powder blues
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and they
I'm
just
a huge
look
fan.
slick.
I'm a
Yeah,
huge
it's
fan.
like throwback Cardinals almost.
Yeah, well, there was a time in Major League Baseball to where like 30% of the teams had powder blue jerseys.
Right.
So you had like the Brewers, the Blue Jays, the Rangers, the Braves. I'm trying to think of the other teams.
Royals.
Naturally the Royals, the Cubs. All these teams had powder. If they had blue in it, they had a powder blue jersey, which, I mean, I think it's still. Somebody brought it up to me a few years ago, and I was never a fan. Now I love it. I absolutely love it. Like our slow pitch softball team had them for years, but there's just something about the Twins had, to me, the best red, white, and blue with powder jersey there was. So I'm a huge fan. I'm just a huge fan of watching.
I kind of like CSA's kind of black and blue where it kind of
fade?
The fade.
I forget what it's called.
Ombre, a little bit.
What the heck is it called? Sublimation. So it goes black and then it goes down to blue. It is sharp. It's real sharp, and they do it. I mean, we had talked with Coach Seidel before, and he said a lot of this comes down to swag for the kids.
Right.
You know, branding, engagement, social, being able to get those pats on the back is different than years ago when you got your name in the paper for having 2 singles and an RBI. You know, now it's social media, especially with us and with you, and particularly, you got the game on or the game up sometimes before they're home.
Right.
You know, and that's I love that. And we've had many conversations about why that's important. And you're living it, my man. You're living that dream where you're seeing all the feedback and all the shares and all the likes and all the comments. We love, I will say this openly, and it'll never be contested. The Class B has a special place in my heart because I played in it, because I understand what goes into it from a coach, from a player's perspective, and it is an elite league. We, like many in this nation, take our baseball for granted. But what you don't realize is there's great baseball not far from home. And now, literally as soon as you open up social media, you've got it right there. And we're doing it on YSN, and I love
think
it.
the parents love the stories, and the kids just love seeing their pictures up on Instagram.
And to back to Sean,
Right.
unbelievable job that Sean and Gary do.
Sean gets some really good pictures in that peak of night where the light's just fading.
Yep.
And you see the shines off the helmet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sean is great at capturing that up close, like
Right.
the emotion.
Right.
Right.
he's taking some good shots in the dugout.
I'll tell you what, he had one the other day, and I asked him. I hope that he doesn't kill me for saying this. He had one. It was our photo of the day yesterday.
The Astro one.
It was the Astro lefty throwing, and their ball was perfectly spaced between the pitcher and the batter. And I asked him. I said, Sean, how many takes did that have? Because photographers pride themselves on, but we only see the finished product.
Right.
Right. He goes 5. I figured it would have taken me a lifetime to get that shot. Because, like I told you, I said, okay, there's no photographers here tonight. Michael said he's going to take the game on 1. I'm going to go get you some pictures just because, I had nothing else to do. So I went down and took a couple. It took me 30 pictures. Now, I just have my iPhone, but I'm snapping there. I'm trying to do the group shots, the ba, 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 ba. Like, I couldn't get the shot I wanted. And then you have these guys, Gary and Sean, who are so good at getting the exact shot of what they want. It's almost like they're fortune tellers because they can see what's happening before it happens. How many coaches would you love to have on your staff that knows exactly what's going to happen before it does? And we're blessed with that in our organization because they're putting these awesome shots.
One of my favorite shots used over the weekend, Gary got it. It was the Dura Edge sliding back into first on a pickoff play.
Yep.
it just, I mean, it was it was so clear. You could see the kid's face, and it was just a great shot.
Yeah.
There's action shots in baseball.
They're so good. And I think when you look at our website, and not to keep promoting us, but when you look at our website, it's the best website around.
And it's because of the photographers.
It is. It makes it. It makes it. And you can go now, Gary, this is his second year with us. If you go back years and see the shots that he's provided, and Sean is bought in. Like, talking to him over the weekend, you don't have anybody who loves YSN more than that guy. And those are the kind of guys we want on our side.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we just hired, 3 more photographers to kind of help them out. So, they can run their route, and they can teach these new photographers, this is how we do it. So
I like it because Sean lives right next to Lakeview.
He does.
So, I mean, Lakeview's a team that they can really get some good coverage for us, because he can go right down the street and shoot their football, their volleyball, their whatever, and that's going to be good for Lakeview.
Yeah, and he works at Hubbard Chevrolet, so he's in that Trumbull County area, which we've had such a hard time getting pictures for, because we almost had to wait for them to come down, because we're in Columbiana County, and just like we discussed earlier, it's like a flight to get to Trumbull County some days. We're happy to do it, but we also, with 56 teams, we have to make sure that we get everyone represented. So we've got Sean now that is happy as a clam in Trumbull County to be able to take pictures for us up there, because with the way when we do our routes, they go home, right? It's they don't come here normally. They go to their home and then upload the pictures to us. So I'm over the moon. Like, our photographers are out of this world awesome. And
56
schools.
Oh man. Let me ask, have you ever had, as we've grown, have you ever had conversations with the smaller schools that get kind of maybe nervous a little bit that their coverage is going to go away, or has that never even been a thought to the smaller schools if we've grown?
You know what? More often than not, what we get is the excitement of the smaller schools that they were in first.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, we love this. Because we talk about it all the time. You're getting a 30-minute interview or a 20, like, you're getting whatever you need to get off your chest. Go ahead. Like, we're talking, we're highlighting your players, we're highlighting your coaches, we're highlighting your community and the businesses within it. So when they are, like, you look at Leetonia, they were number 1. And, now the new athletic director, Bob Beam, is one of my best friends. And he's like, I don't want you to change anything. Like, keep doing what you do. We'll give you everything that you need. And you look at that from every school. We just had our second full entire conference that we had is the MVAC. First one was the NE8. They're bought in. Anything we need, hey, whatever you roll out the red carpet. And not that we want that, but it's one of those things where they know how much money, how much opportunity they're saving that they don't have to do themselves, because we're going to highlight them. And we're going to do it professionally and make sure that, listen, we don't care about transfers. Like, in our world, open enrollment happens, being able to go to different schools. It's part of our world, and we acknowledge it, but we don't have to shine a light on it.
And now more than ever, you go from one school to another, you're still going to be a YSN school.
That's it.
So you're still going to get your coverage.
Yeah, and the thing I love about it most is the fact that people believe in what we do as much as we believe in what they do. And we're as sure as the sun sets and the sun rises the next day, we'll be there. We believe in girls sports. We believe in women empowered here at the network. We believe in these youngsters having a chance that they might never have again. If your kid gets in for one game, for one shot, and he makes it or she makes it, we're there. And you have that for the rest of your life. They have it for the rest of their life. And I think that's what sports does to people, right? Sports, we put people on a pedestal, and that's fantastic. But there's a humbleness, a humility, if you will, that comes with it, that we say, that's our guy. That's our team. I'm wearing the Sebring Trojan. If you would have told DJ Yoakley in 2002 that you fast forward 18 years and I'm wearing a Sebring Trojan hat as an East Palestine Bulldog, I'm telling you, no way. But there's a pride that we take in each and every one of our schools that I will, like, you believe in me, I'll wear your colors.
Right.
I'm proud to wear your colors because I'm proud of what you're making as a school or a district, an organization, you name it. But I will tell you this, that we are humbled here, and I think you feel the same way.
Yes.
Every time someone rolls the dice on us, when I say roll the dice, going back to week number 1 of YSN, being stuck in a corner, broadcasting from a pump. We had 4 games. broadcasting from a pumpkin patch. We were good in Salem. They took good care of us, and Matt and Jared. I was in the corner of South Range before complete buy-in the next week, before we could actually just show who we are and what we're about at YSN. And after that, once we showed our heart, once we showed this is what we're about and this is what we're going to do, the rest was easy. You know, finding people that have passion, and I'm sure you've seen it, that call out for new announcers and photographers. I mean what I say. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter, who you want to go home with. It doesn't matter who you want to have dinner with. What matters is your heart. We care about your heart and that you love sports. And I think it's a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? We don't care about anything else other than that you love sports and you get excited about broadcasting the team that you're assigned. So hopefully that, not to go on a rant, but man alive, I'll tell you what, I love waking up and coming down here and knowing that there's however many guys or gals that are here to do it, we're all on the same team. There's no walls to hide behind. There's no offices. Everything is an open field the way it is in sports. You can't hide. Like, you're only strong.
Got the big windows. You can't even hide from the public.
No, we are literally in a fishbowl in East Palestine. Like, we're just a couple of guppies just floating around. I'm excited to see what's coming. I mean, in this partnership with K-Squared Marketing, only going to make us stronger. You know, we have a great partnership already with iSynergy, and they do a lot of great stuff that you'll never even see, because Steve Cross is one of those guys that never takes any kind of acknowledgement or credit for what he and his team do. We owe them a lot. We owe them a lot. Our partnership with them is as strong as iron, and now he's kind of led the way to, hey, you guys do this, these ladies do this, you guys should partner up and go, and here we are. I mean, K-Squared with Kelsey and Colin, you talk about female empowerment, you talk about role models for young ladies, these two are it. And now they're a part of who we are and what we're doing moving forward. As much as I love looking back on the past and having that chip on our shoulder, there is nothing better than putting the sunglasses on and looking into the sun, because that's where we're headed. So,
future so bright, we need the shades.
Hey, we're gonna take one more break, and we'll be back to close up the show. How about this? We made an hour, thanks to Champ Summers getting us through it. We'll wrap up the show in a little bit. We'll talk about what's going to be on running. Oh, I'm sorry. What's going to be on Power Hour at 3. I see Quinn up in the corner, and it's kind of freaking me out. I can see him through the shades. Creeper. We will kind of preview what's going on, including Class B baseball. The postseason is here.
The playoff schedule being announced.
Yeah, we will announce it on the Power Hour right here on YSN. Thanks. We'll be right back.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Day in the showers, I'm keeping my eye on in parts of Columbiana County.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Running Point. Don't adjust your monitors. It is DJ Yoakley and Anthony Hartwig. Ron has the day off. We'll give you updates on Mr. Potesta a little bit later. Probably going to be out for a couple weeks. He's going to be riding this out. Hopefully he can have a nice vacation.
Right.
And one of those things where,
hey, you got to get gassed up because come fall.
Yeah.
He's Running Point all the time.
You're 5 days a week, Running Point from noon. All right, let's set up a Friday. On Fridays alone, now every day of the week it's going to be noon to 3 with Running Point followed by the Power Hour. But on Fridays you'll have Running Point, Power Hour, then you'll have Full Court Press, and then you'll have a preview show for YSN football, and then you'll have YSN football in whatever 56 or so of our schools you're looking at, and then you'll have a quote-unquote scoreboard show or our post-game show.
Yeah.
And then we'll have interviews with coaches face-to-face, like not here in the studio, but the way we do Power Hour is we just drop them a link, some players hopefully as well. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited to get things started. Like anxious, nervous, excited, all that wrapped up in one. Continuing, again, not to continue to pat us on the back, but continuing to fall forward.
Well, we have a lot of things planned for football. That's why we're not liking kind of sitting in limbo because we don't know what to exactly plan for.
Well, this is your dream right here, is that, let's say, this part's not your dream. If football gets canceled and the fall sports, the majority that aren't on there right now get canceled, we are all in on volleyball.
Yeah.
We're all in on golf. We're all in on tennis. Volleyball lately we've been all in on. Tennis and golf, I'm actually really excited to learn some of these players.
I saw Crestview Western Reserve scrimmaging in volleyball last week, and that just got me giddy because those are two of the best programs in the area.
And you're a huge volleyball guy.
And just to see them back on the court and see inter-team competition, it means we're going in the right direction.
I think so. I think everybody's, people give Governor DeWine, a lot of heat for the way he handled that press conference.
No one could be in his position and do the same thing. I mean,
Listen,
you like to think you can, but there's no way.
No. I mean, I can't imagine he's got a whole lot of sleep in the last 4 months.
Right.
That is like wake up refreshed.
As a governor, you got so many lives in your hand. It's just, you're never going to please everybody.
Yeah.
And you got to do what you feel is right, and that's what he's been doing.
And I'm not saying that I've agreed with every decision he's made, but now I understand. Like, you sit back and you go, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I understand what you're trying to do. Does he want to shut down businesses in Ohio? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But he has to make the best decision for where he is on the information he has provided. And I think he's done a stand-up job. I really do. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that will sit there and fight the other way. This isn't a political statement. It's from a guy running a business, which is Ohio. He's been doing it to the best of his ability. And that's all you can ask. You ask for somebody's best. That's all you can ask. And if they make mistakes, they make mistakes. You hope they can correct it. But it's a situation where people saying, well, you should have Ron even. Right. Should have mandated it.
I feel like Wednesday, that press conference, he got a lot of flack initially. And from me too, because he hyped it up and then it was nothing. But I feel like there's a strong possibility that like Tuesday he thought he was going to break something, and then Wednesday he got information that told him that he couldn't. So he had to come on, and he had a good speech and everything, but he couldn't really do what maybe he planned to do the day before.
Well, I mean,
because this is so fluid.
Yeah, what outcome were people looking for? I know what outcome we thought we were going to get. Everybody was looking for a definite answer on fall sports. And I would rather him take his time and make an informed decision when all the facts are available rather than rush into a decision and then go, oh, man, we actually could play it, or we shouldn't have played. Like, make a decision, but make it when you have all the facts. Nobody, I'm going to put this out there, and people are going to be like crazy about. Nobody knows what the hell is going on right now.
Right.
And I think that being able to err on the side of caution is a good thing, but I think within reason, you have to do, again, the most with the information you're provided, and I think he's doing exactly that.
And as much as we love sports, don't forget we have to get schools figured out first. I mean, that's the first thing we have to do.
Athlete.
I mean, these athletes make up about, maybe 35, 40% of the school.
Well, it depends on what school.
And you got to get these students taken care of first. So that's his probably first concern, because we don't have a back-to-school plan yet.
No, and you're going to have some teachers that, kind of like the situation we're in right now, because they don't have to, they got to do more, but you don't have to make that commute. Some teachers are commuting as much as an hour away, and it's kind of nice for them because they get 2 hours back of their day or more because they can do it all from home. So it's going to be interesting. I think that the teachers have to get, as someone sending girls to preschool for the first time, you got to give the teachers a little bit of a pass because we're all going through this together. Right. The same situation as if we have hurdles as an organization to jump over in the fall because of the media side, please be patient with us. It's new for us too, and we'll get there, but there's got to be some leeway. And I think that we expect everybody to, be perfect at every different part of their job, and that includes our governor. And this is the first time he's gone through it too. There's been situations where I forgot a mask at home when I know a mask is mandatory, and you go, now what do I do? And people have been lenient on those people. Well, I saw somebody that cut out underwear and put it over their face with the band. That's where I draw the line. Although he won't have anybody within 6 feet of him, I guarantee that.
No.
So
at least I hope he at least turned it inside out and wore the outside part of his underwear on his face.
It was a picture, and I can't tell you that I looked long enough because I saw what happened. I was like, nope. Keep on scrolling. Thanks to Yoakley. Appreciate that.
But yeah, like umpires and referees, teachers have families, and there are some teachers that are on the older scale, and they might have to have virtual-only classes, and we have to be okay with that because they have to make decisions based on their family and their situations. And as much as little kids think so, they don't live in the school.
No,
I used to thought
really.
It was weird to see a teacher with a life outside of school. It just didn't feel right to me.
Did you think they just popped out of the?
I don't know.
Out of the broom
It's
closet?
just one of those things when you're in elementary school. You just didn't. It was weird to see a teacher outside of school.
You and I have different minds, I think, and that's a good thing because it never even registered like where do they live.
Right.
Yeah, I just was like, okay, well. When I was that young, I'm probably like, oh, they got a mommy and daddy too. Everybody's your age. And we're finding out, as parents, new parents, we're finding that out now too. Like our 3-year-olds think that they are 35, 36 years old. We call them 3-dagers because like we're having conversations with them and they think that they run the show. And then they get to go to timeout. It's one of those things where, no, like we're at the what stage now. And not to get into the parenting 101, but now like we went to an awesome, we actually went to the Foster's house, the head coach of East Palestine football. He and his wife Amy hosted us last night, and we had a nice little cookout. Swam in the pool, and we brought out a cheeseburger, and Cece got it, and she's like, "I love your cheeseburger." The most polite. I've never heard that compliment before. I was all thankful, and I said, that's very nice of you to say. Or very nice. The next word out of her mouth was like, "What?" Like 0 to 60. So like we have to act like adults. Because our kids think that too. It's we all think that we have the best decisions and know the most. When I gotta believe that the governor knows a little bit more than what we do right now. The same way that we know a little bit more than those little kids. So hopefully over this next 3 months, our patience grows and is better served than the last 3 months because I think America has run out of it, and I think we all just need to take a deep breath and realize we have to be all in this together. If we're not, then we're never going to get over this. And you look at like our history, the last 100 years, with science, technology, everything that we have going for us. If a pandemic can still sneak up on us, what else is up the sleeve of Mother Nature? So.
And to bring it back to sports with unity, Mac Brown came out last week and he called for unity in college sports, and he said all these conferences doing different things and having different protocols isn't a good thing. And he thinks that there should be a college sports commissioner that's separate from the NCAA president.
I agree.
And I think that's a brilliant idea because you need unity in college sports because then you wouldn't have to have the Big Ten say we're only going to do conference. Because the only reason they did that is because they can control everything that they do in the Big Ten. They don't have to worry about going to Oregon and the Pac-12 doing something completely different.
It's dictatorship.
So,
I mean, that's what it is. It boils down to they have power, other conferences don't. I mean, let's be honest. How many Ivy League football games were you going to watch this fall? So when they canceled, they went, okay, well.
The Colonial, the only game that I'm sad about is the Army-Navy game. I mean, I watch that all the time, but that's not going to happen this year.
And you know, for good reason.
For good reason.
You know, if
I'd rather my Army and Navies be healthy than play football.
And prepare for if there was an attack, you know, heaven forbid. But it's all interesting and it's all new, you know, and it's just for us to talk about. So what are you giggling about?
Nothing. Well, nothing.
Okay, it must be a good comment on there.
No, it's not a comment.
What is it?
It's reliable sources, you know. Just some reliable sources joining the.
Just a little reliable sources. All right, that is going to do it for the abbreviated Running Point with Ron Potesta. Hopefully, Poe Bear, if you're out there watching, hope you feel better. And you can tune in Wednesday and Friday for the next Running Point. But today at 3 o'clock, don't forget it's the Power Hour. Anthony will be there. I'll be there. Quinn will be there. It'll be a party. It'll be fun. We'll release the Class B postseason at 3 o'clock on our Power Hour. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully you can, now you got 2 hours to enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you don't have too big of a honey-do list.
Right, and then come back.
Yeah, then come back, 3 o'clock. We'll be here. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at bairdbrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Friday night, it's fresh limousine. I'm feeling pretty good about myself, like I'm living the dream. Platform shoes, strut down the street. It's gonna get hot in here, I hope you can handle the heat.
Over the years, you watched us grow, and as we've grown, so has the Myers Family Insurance team.
Thanks to all of you who have trusted our families to help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come. So call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.